There's one thing about the brain that hasn't been incorporated in the present systems, which is the brain, the animal and human brain, is of course guided by internal drives, fundamental goals like nourish yourself and avoid danger and procreate and social instincts and so on, which are not incorporated in the present technology at all. I just read about the processes that, very strenuous and expensive processes that go into the LLMs today, which you could only describe as education. You know, there are hundreds and thousands of people who test these systems on a regular basis and train them by reinforcement learning, human-guided reinforcement learning, to avoid bad behavior, like don't give an answer to how do I steal a car, or how can I kill many people with little input, and so on. This is education, which is put on those systems from the outside. And this is a very inefficient process. We will come to the efficiency issue learning. So I think what we still have to learn from the brain is what ethologists like Konrad Lorenz and Nico Tinbergen and so on 100 years ago described as the control of behavior of animals in terms of schematically described basic goals like who is your mother? How do you recognize your mother? The goslet that hatches out of the egg is given by nature a description of what mother is looking like. It is a mobile, a moving object in your neighborhood that issues a certain kind of sound, ga ga ga, and that is the description, very abstract, and usually it is mother goose that is nearby, and so the goslet takes in the actual smell and sight of the mother goose. But Konrad Lorenz wiggled a Wellington boot in front of the goslet and imitated the sound, and so from then on the goslet followed the Wellington boot. So this gives an idea of how those innate drives are formulated, poses the problem of, number one, how are they formulated, how can they be put in the computer, and number two, a much more difficult problem, how can these very abstract schemata be applied to real situations, of which our brain is just great. You know, one of the behavioral patterns that are innate is, of course, how to deal with competition. Competition could be somebody else wanting to eat the same food you have in front of you, and so you have to push the person away. But now we apply that in science. Yeah, there's competition. There's this great goal of understanding the brain, and here's this competitor who claims and so on. So these different applications of the same underlying schema are very different in detail, and the brain, that is to be learned from the brain. How can these abstract things be identified in concrete situations?